Hello, my friends. We decided this evening because it is Good Friday 2020. And this here Easter, or this whole Holy Week, which we had Passover, the biblical Passover on Wednesday. And then today is Good Friday, Easter will be Sunday. Yet this is a year like none other. As the entire world's economy has collapsed within just a few short weeks. I don't think we've ever seen a Passover or an Easter weekend quite like this, where we're actually like living out the Bible as the angel of death or the coronavirus has entered into the United States of America, the world, and we see it's not the virus itself that is so destructive. It is the fear within us that's so destructive. It is the fear we have created within us that's so utterly destructive. But here we are, locked away as though it was a true Passover. We're in our homes, all speaking about the blessed Lamb that was slain for our well-being. Jewish people eat matzah. It's a night of unleavened bread, and they have 8 days of eating no bread with no leaven at all. In fact, they even have traditions where they clean their house out of all that leaven and all the bread with leaven. And they eat matzah. They even crush the matzah and they break the matzah. Because that is Jesus Christ. He is our matzah. They proudly eat that matzah with a sad face, while we proudly eat our Jesus, who is our matzah, who was the unleavened bread. And tonight, as Good Friday, the day he died, is the day of it's unleavened. No life in it. No ability to rise. In fact, is being buried in the ground. But it was through that act we found the grace of God, the love of God, and our ability to thank God. Because we were once slaves, like the Jews. They were once slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and today we are slaves to sin. Well, we once were slaves to sin, but we are no longer slaves to sin. So I have a great dream I want to share with you and my family. A dream I had just last night. Hey. So this is our Easter fire, or Good Friday fire. Penelope.
Come here, girl. Oh, come on, baby. Penelope, come.
Yeah.
Penelope, come.
Dog found a rabbit. Found an Easter bunny. Shitting fucking eggs in her yard.
What you doing there, man? You all happy you got that bone and you just been kicking it today, ain't you? Feels like Good Friday to you, huh? Every Friday's good to me. I got nice owners. You don't need oranges, do you? You like orange?
Dad's, Grandpa's mom died on Good Friday. How many years ago would that have been?
Oh,
40.
Born on Christmas Eve, died on Good Friday.
Yes.
Wow.
yeah.
Look, this stuff is just like the matzah.
Oh, yeah.
It's whole wheat, so it's probably more closer to this one. The Jewish days. They have this whole week, it's matzah week, where they don't eat anything but unleavened. It's cracker bread. They're always very happy to eat that. Have all kinds of celebrations. We eat the Lord.
And we are
These are
doing
mine.
social distancing.
Well, one of the signs that will accompany your salvation is your ability to drink poison, pick up snakes, heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and raise the dead back to life. Those are signs that accompany a believer. And, that's the thing.
Ooh.
Like Jesus, when he drank the cup of
baby.
wine, it was a cup
Ooh.
of bitterness. It's his cup. It says to each of us one day that cup will pass by us. Are we willing to drink of it? It's not a cup of joy, but a cup of great suffering. It seems like we're all going to be suffering here pretty soon. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing, that's why we're so thankful, because we have the assurance that Jesus has already overcome and crossed over and passed over. Shows us the way. You guys want to hear about my dream? I had a dream 2 nights ago. Last night. You guys. So I was dreaming that Harley was about to have a party. Like all these people kept gathering at the house and getting ready for a party, and kept telling Harley, hey, can't have all these people at the house because got the coronavirus, and all this stuff. And so I was starting to get agitated, and Harlan kind of kept ignoring me. But he was getting dressed, and he dressed himself in this very fine, all black suit, but had like a purple vest and a big purple hat. All polyester, look. He was pimping. You looked like you were pimping, getting ready to go pimping, but clubbing or something, and oh man, I'll tell you what, even in my dream I said to myself, wow, you look really good. The whole outfit looked great on you. You looked like Zorro almost, but had this purple hat and purple vest, all black boots. You look sharp, man, the sharpest I ever saw you, and even said thought in my heart, wow, you look so good. But I was getting agitated because kept having these people over. But then it kind of felt like we weren't in our house. We were in a house, but not this house. In fact, I was in the Westminster house, where we used to live, and in that house, and there's dreams, like you go in the basement and there's secret rooms and like a whole another house like hidden in the basement, like when you go in these secret rooms. And so we were upstairs, and Harley's room was, like it is, and all these people coming. So we start walking through the house, and there's more and more people coming, and I'm getting agitated, telling everybody to get out of the house. You can't be here, and we don't want no parties here, and all this stuff. And Harley's all the time like saying, "Oh, Dad, just don't worry about it. They're making big deal out of nothing. Just relax, stop." And so I was getting agitated, and some guy, we went down in the basement, and there's all those rooms, and even was telling Harley, "Oh, that guy's got a really nice room. Why don't you take his room? You should set up your room right there, because it was such a nice room, and why be upstairs or in that other room? You could have this nice room." Talking about that, but then this guy comes out, and he was real tall, had blonde hair, like blue eyes. Look, everybody there was college age, in their 20s, and comes out and he says, "Sir, everybody here at the house keeps telling me that you're trying to kick them out. I just wanted to remind you that I own the house. This is my house. I would appreciate it if you stop trying to kick everyone out of my house." So then I was just like, it came to that reality of, even in my real life, I don't own anything. I'm just a guest in someone else's house, and that's what we are, is a guest. Not the owner. So that kind of really bummed me out, made me more agitated. So I said, well, if I can't kick everybody out of the house, then I will start preaching the gospel. And with great boldness, just anybody and everybody who came into my thing, I just began blaring the gospel at them. And they didn't want to hear it. That was pretty irritating. It's just as irritating to them as it was to me having them there. And so this one lady, I don't know who the lady, but some lady enjoyed it and began following me around so to hear the gospel thing. So we go outside, and the whole thing, Harley's had this job, and they're having this big party, and he was had a job there, and we're out in the front yard, and now it's dark out, and we're out in the middle of the street, and Harley's getting people, "Hey, come and get in this barrel," and it's like this 55-gallon barrel, trash can, and he's like, people climb in the trash can. Harlan then flips the can on its side, gives it a kick out into the middle of the street, and these other guys got this gun, and they're shooting the can with a blue beam of light. So this blue beam of light is zapping this barrel as it's got a person in it rolling in the street. Comes to a stop, and the guy climbs out of the barrel and I don't know, it zapped the shit out of his balls. I know it's a silly dream, but then gets out all grabbing his balls and is like, "Oh my God, that was such a rush." And then they kick the barrel back over, and Harlan, "Hey, who's next?" And over here, there's a barrel. It was crazy, and I was like, "What in the hell are you doing? Why you people can get hurt like this? What are you doing?" "Oh, don't worry about it, Dad. They love it. They really get off on this, and don't worry about it." and go back in the house. And there they were playing poker. And so I told Harley, give me some money. We'll sit down and play poker and take all these guys' money. And he didn't have no money. I didn't have no money. So we couldn't enter the poker game. I woke up. And I woke up. But it does remind me of this. It was a very vivid dream, and I only have vivid dreams once in a while. And so, it reminded me of this, that Jesus is the owner of the house. And we are just guests in his house. And it reminds me that Jesus says, don't be troubled in your heart. Don't be troubled, because if I go to a place to prepare for you a house, then surely he will return to take us home. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes maybe I use the gospel to kick people out of my life, which it does give you a sense of discernment to know who are worthy of your life and who is not worthy of your life. It's not everybody is of God. But what was interesting is in the Bible it says that the man of perdition or the lawless one would come to us wearing fine linen and purple. Fine linen and purple. And sometimes I think in our lives we get complacent and thinking, oh, don't worry, it'll pass by, you don't have to be concerned, and sometimes there's good reason to be worried, because just as Jesus said to his disciples, most of his ministry he was preparing them to come to a place in believing that not in his miracles and not in his teachings, but in the fact that he was going to die and then rise back to life. And even his disciples said, we will do everything and anything we can to prevent you from dying or experiencing those tragedies. And yet Jesus kept telling them and trying to prepare them that if he was the Son of Man, if he was the Son of God or the Messiah, that he had a mission, and his mission was to come into this world and die. That was the mission. So that he could rise back to life.
What's that about?
It's just to let everybody know we're still alive.
That's the heathen practices of wolf howling to the moon. The whole neighborhood's been doing this for nights. The last few nights.
Damn heathens.
It's all over the whole city.
Wolf! Wolf! Oh! Come here! Come here, dog. Penelope, come here. Come here.
She's all scared.
Woo! Woo!
Hey, you got my lighter?
Yeah.
So what'd you think of my dream?
Woo!
What do you think about it all, Harley?
That's a weird dream, man.
Come here, girl.
Well, what do you think about?
Oh!
What do you think about chilling out at the fire side.
She's going to the
Fuck
room.
you, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, she's going to bed.
She's afraid of the firecrackers. The other night she got all freaked out over the fireworks.
Well, I think your dream was very symbolic and, was really, it was meant for you.
Well, I agree. That's the thing is, even though Harley was in it, I'm sure
Right.
I was Harley
Yeah.
because God is our Father. I am His Son, just like He is my Son.
Right.
And there's nothing that could prevent that from happening. I mean, if I'm your dad, and that's the end of the story. You know,
Nothing's going to change that part.
nothing's going to change that.
Jesse, see if I can snag something.
And that's like what Jesus kept telling them is,
That's a good idea.
don't believe in what you see. Because what they saw was the destruction of God. Destruction of God's temple, the destruction of God's anointing. He says, don't believe in what you see, believe in the unseen. Have hope and faith in
Trees.
that which comes, or is to come. And that's the resurrection. American citizens reminding the United States government we still have our guns and they're working.
There's that part.
Well, and that's the thing is, it was by faith in Jesus Christ they overcame the Roman Empire, and we do not live in a nation as rancid as that, even though it really feels like we're at war. And the war is to survive and to believe we're worthy of that survival. And they completely separated themselves from the empire. We're not going to go to King Supers or Kroger and buy groceries. We're going to grow our own groceries and we'll share them at a reasonable cost to our neighbors, to the people who are in need. And they took that upon themselves. They didn't wait for some authority to be given to them by men. That's the thing, I think. Without Jesus, it's very hard to accept the authority God has given us. So I've been praying lately that God would give me the power to heal people through the simple act of laying my hands on them. Because Jesus said, if you go to someone in my name, then I will give you the authority to heal them. I will do it. And I just would like to believe that's true.
Well, anything's possible.
What do you think about Good Friday, Harley?
You know
You know
why it's
what
called
it
Good
is.
Friday?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Why is it called Good Friday?
Yeah, why is
What do you think?
I don't know.
Do you know what happened on Good Friday?
Is that when Jesus came back?
No.
No?
He died on Good Friday.
Oh.
That's when they hung him on the cross.
Mm.
He died.
Why would they call that Good Friday?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you gotta go back to the Jewish things of how they had their feast. They call it a Seder. And they have this great feast, the Seder, which reminds them of going out and remember Jesus, I'm going to prepare for you a table, a great feast. And so it was good news. And the good news was tomorrow in the morning, we're leaving. And we're leaving Egypt, a place that had enslaved them. And for us, that Egypt, that place of enslavement, is sin. No longer separated from God, no longer counted as sinners. Even though there was a time we were once sinners, but we didn't stop sinning. Jesus miraculously took away our sin so that we couldn't sin anymore, removing it from us. And how he removed it from us was putting to death the law that said to us, we are sinners. We're sinners. And so he removed that. And even David, the king of Israel, said, blessed aren't those who follow the law. He said, blessed are those whose transgressions have been forgiven. And so the Jewish people, when they eat their matzah, they crush it. Because he was crushed for our transgressions. In order for us to walk with God hand in hand, the Passover lamb had to be offered or consumed. So he lit this fire to remind us that the Holy Spirit is the gift, and it's an all-consuming, unquenchable fire. Fire of love, family. That's the thing. Jesus came into the world to reunite the son to his father and the daughters to their mothers. Reuniting family, even though he says, I bring you a sword. And with that sword, you're going to turn it against your own family. That's the thing that we have to be aware of, is there's going to be people all of a sudden rising up within the next few months, turning you in for walking down the street without a mask, criminalizing you, not only you, but your mothers, your fathers, your children, and everybody's going to start turning on each other to devour one another, exposing each other, yet all the while systematically destroying everything we have worked for over the past 2,000 years of creating a civilized society. And what's going to keep our sanity together during this time is these times of recognizing the zombie apocalypse is never going to happen. You'll always be my mother, you'll always be my son and father, and we don't just turn into zombies. That is the teachings of Satan. Anything made as a form of deception. And I think it's very important that, I feel bad for you, Harley, because, see, a good Christian family or a good, Bible-believing family should have been teaching you the Torah since you were born. So that way, by the time you're 13 years old, you're able to participate in the bar mitzvah. And the bar mitzvah is the completion of Torah training. Because inside the Torah is the teachings of righteousness, a way of holiness. And at 13 years old, you kind of become a free-thinking, back-talking, know-it-all kid, and that's normal for everybody. But in that, you would have had that sense of discernment. And even though we've taught you, shared with you faith, I think you should take a little time and interest yourself in what is it we have faith in? Why all the people of the Bible, one, record what they recorded, and two, why were they so willing to die for that message they wrote? Every one of them were either sawed in half, crucified, killed, burned alive, skinned alive, ripped apart. They died violent deaths because they felt like that message was so important, it outweighed death itself. And so I think it's a good idea to find out why it was so important. Why were they so willing to die for it? There's a time when Grandpa was just their age coming out of the army, 22 years old. And he, like millions of others, were convinced that going over to Vietnam was in the best interest of our freedom. And they'd go kill slant-eyed Chinese people, and they would degrade them and steal their humanity because they threatened your freedom. Yet the reality is they never ever set one foot on American soil, never threatened your freedom, and never
What up, Patty?
saw what you had.
Oh man, the brakes all fixed up.
That's good.
Doing my good deed for the day.
Good deal.
Helping a friend out.
Let's give him some breaks.
Yeah, she actually. They got some parts from a guy that had like just a bunch of foresters, which is what that is. So he had like some used pads and rotors, but they were way better. They were in way better shape than the ones that were on there. So I just took everything apart, cleaned it all up, got a lot of the rust off everything. There's a lot of rust in there. Got it all hooked up.
Get me later, brother.
No, I don't.
Here, I got one
Where's
in
it
my
from?
hand.
Okay.
I don't think that one's it.
She wanted to do a muffler delete too. Did that. Now it sounds like a Subaru.
Where you going? Alright, make sure you come back up.
Took a little bit longer than I expected, but I ended up doing a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, that's typical.
Well, I don't just slap the parts in there and call it good. I take everything apart that needs to be taken apart, clean it, grease it, put it back together, make sure everything works well, bleed the brakes, and then put it all back together, go test drive it, make sure all is well. There's definitely a process.
Yeah.
There is a process to brake job.
Yes. Yeah.
The proper brake job, at least. I mean, anybody can just pad slap it. You know, take the caliper off, take the old pads out, put the new ones in, slap it back together. Anybody can do that.
Oh, daughters of Zion, oh, Abraham's sons, hear the words of your father.
Had a whole bunch of Mac
Hear his promise of love.
where it seemed like you
I will make you a blessing. So count the stars if you can.
So I cleaned all that.
You will be a great nation. I will give you this land. I will bring you back home. I'll bring you back home, oh my children. You will no longer roam, lost and alone in the night. There is nothing on earth that could take you away. Once I gather you under my wings, You have no other Lord. Green pastures I wait. Inside once more. I will bring you back home. I'll bring you back home, oh my children. You will no longer roam, lost and alone in the night. There is nothing on earth that can take you away. Once I gather you under my wings, I will bring you on back home. So we pray for the peace, but look to the east for the sunrise is sudden and fierce. Every prophet and priest and king in the city will look on the one they pierced. We will mourn for the one we've pierced. But don't fear, oh my daughters, or sons of Abraham. I will wash you with water. I will offer the lamb. Though your sins were like scarlet, they'll be whiter than snow. I have always
We're not scared.
I will never let go. I will bring you back home. I'll bring you back home, oh my children. You will no longer roam, lost and alone in the night. There is nothing on earth that can take you away. I will gather you under my wings. I will bring you all back home. I will bring you all back home again. Shema Israel, Shema
What do you think about all this corona shit?
Oh,
When did you come to conclusion on all the stuff you've seen and heard? What's your mindset?
I think it's not as bad as you say it is.
I don't think it is either. Yeah, I was watching Nora, the Demon O'Donnell
Yeah.
this morning. Just like an update on the coronavirus. 16,000 people have died. And I mean, really, on that 16,000. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Out of a population of 100, no, a billion, almost a billion, 900 million people.
It's still in, comparison to just a regular food, the numbers are.
Fire's pretty warm when you're close to it.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Feel good.
You sit there, you're like in the hot spot.
You guys staying safe?
Yeah.
Cats are expensive on them, I know that. They're very expensive. I do them. They're not cheap because they require a really good cat to keep the light out.
So you recommend? What do you recommend for that car?
I'd see if you could beat them up for like 19. Maybe.
Alright.
Just lowball them and then work from there, you know? I mean, it's not necessarily a lowball. It's just a couple grand.
That stuff is thing is real sweet. Thing.
It's like perfect.
I mean, who knows? You might end up getting it for 20 or 25. You know, 20,500.
This is
If you can beat them up a little bit, you know, or just offer them 20. Ask them if they'd take 20 for it. So I mean, that's not bad. How many miles did it have on it?
169, 170.
Yee.
No, not once. 70, 69, 70.
Okay.
I don't know why I added the one. It's like, wait a minute, I'm not getting one that's got almost nearly as much miles as my car does.
Yeah,
got
we're
over
gonna
8,000 miles
start
less than
looking
mine.
up some cats.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So,
Just, it's so freaking plush inside. It is
Maybe
nicer than
I'll-
a Cadillac, man.
Right. I mean,
It's
we've had a
so
couple
nice.
of those in the shop. They're nice.
problem
I like
is
'em.
Walmart is
But
so tight.
They're just kind of nightmares if they're broken.
Yeah.
Chinese invasion.
So definitely keep up on your maintenance. Don't shirk your maintenance on it.
Oh, I never do.
And if the dealer recommends something, I would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Put them out of business.
I really would. Even if it seems a little bit ridiculous, I would probably do it.
How's it going?
'Cause that's just how
good.
they are.
Good.
If they're not properly maintained, and you got to keep your fuel system clean. Come by every once in a while and get a can of BG.
BG?
Yeah, BG 44K.
Oh, 44K, yeah.
Yeah, fuel system cleaning.
Well,
And you drive a lot, so it's
It
good.
seems like I meet mechanics that either love the shit or hate it. They either swear by it or they absolutely cannot stand.
I swear by BG.
Yeah.
Their products have never done me wrong.
There are people that.
And then there's people like David that
It's either the Seafoam,
We'll say
Seafoam
Seafoam.
people or 44K.
Seafoam ruined the cat in my RAV4, and that was a $1,200 mistake.
Ooh.
So, I will use BG. BG has never done me wrong. Seafoam is such an old formula.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
really good
if
for,
you're
like-
using it on an old car, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, but you need something that's carbureted.
Yeah, not fuel injected.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even
guess,
put Seafoam in a throttle body injected truck. Like, you know those old
guess
TBI Chevys?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do that. No.
Just that the Hemi has got a feature where on the highway you can turn off 4 cylinders.
Oh, it's a V8 Jeep?
Yeah.
I have to take the mufflers off of it.
Right. I was thinking that.
I mean, it would actually sound good. It would sound good versus taking it off of your V6.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pops.
But I don't want it to be too loud, dude.
No, it won't be too loud. If you take out both mufflers and go bigger piping, then it gets really loud. And it's like undesirable.
Yeah.
But what we could do is just chop them off and then start it and see if you like it. And then obviously it'll sound a little bit different once you get it out from underneath it and with some tips on it. It'll sound a little bit different. But if you like that, we'll just leave it at that. And then if that gets to be too much, we can get some smaller resonators. You can get like some tiny little resonators to put in there.